So you have a creative talent, something that you really enjoy doing that you would perhaps like to take full time so you can quit your job, or maybe you just want to explore what it would be like to do it more often, to get paid for it. That might be nice. Or, maybe you're just curious about how far you can take it. How to kind of take the next step and move forward. Um, there's not a whole lot of information out there on how to generally take a creative talent and turn it into something that is actually a career and do it in an enjoyable, fulfilling way that doesn't make you feel like you're basically creating another 9 to 5 for yourself. There's a lot of info on how to become an actor, how to become a singer, how to take your art and sell it on Etsy. And that's all great. But what I've noticed as a creative who's also very, emotional, sensitive person that wants to have fulfillment on top of success, right? Not one or the other. There aren't a lot of programs or videos out there that kind of combine both. And so that's why I wanted to make this. Now, why am I talking about this? Why should you listen to me? I don't know. But I will tell you that I've been on the creative business journey for over a decade. I've been a full time singer-songwriter freelance for about 5 years, and I've just added voice acting to the mix about a year ago, and that's really, really fun and exciting. That's going really well too. So, I have learned, I'd say it's a three-way split. All of this partly by actually getting some education, right? Not through school. I failed, barely graduated high school, but through business coaching. I actually got a business coach and kind of learned how to start and grow a business because as an artist, I know many of you are going to relate to this. I was like, ew, business? No, thank you. I don't want to do business. I want to sing and write songs and create. That's what I want to do. I want to be an artist. I don't care about money. I don't care about anything but just doing the thing I love. Right. So I didn't want to hear anything about business. But over time, what I realized was if I could just suck it up and learn some of the business stuff enough to get what I needed to make my music my full-time career, because for me personally, I just really hated working any other job that wasn't in music. And even jobs in music for me just wasn't my thing. We're all different. I have always craved freedom and flexibility and never expected that being an entrepreneur was actually a huge part of what I love and what I wanted to do. But when I started just experimenting with getting some business coaching and kind of learning, I got bitten by that entrepreneur bug. And ever since, it's been like, I crave it. I love it, right? I love going out there and trying new things and working for myself. It's just so fun. Not everyone feels that way. I get it. But anyways, before I ramble too much, it was partly education. It was partly trial and error, failing at least 3 times, maybe 4 financially for sure, before I made a sustainable living that, has been repetitive for the last couple years and now I'm scaling and building. It took many going broke moments. It took many sleeping on couches and floors with cockroaches crawling over me. I'm not joking. And mice. That was the last straw for me. The roaches, I could deal with. The mice,
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no.
I learned so much through trial and error. And then the other part of it, you'll come to learn, is right time, right place. It's not magic. I wouldn't even call it, well, you can call it luck if you want, call it whatever you want. If you're a religious person, you feel God has a plan. If you're more of like a spiritual woo-woo person, you'd say, being in alignment and seeing those opportunities. And if you're neither of those things, or you just don't know, don't care, then it's more so the traditional sense of um, you can prepare all you want, you can do all the work, but there is a certain amount of you were at the right place at the right time and you got lucky, right? So however you want to see it, you can't control everything. And I think that's something that's not talked about enough. You either get the people, again, who are like, nah, man, just like, I'm just an artist. I don't need to worry about structure and business and all that. You're just going to manifest it all. Just visualize it. And if you're in alignment, things will just come together. That can be your experience if you choose to see it that way. But what you'll realize is everyone who says that and says that that's their method. In reality, they've done many different structured steps consistently, like everyone else, to get to where they want to be. Eckhart Tolle had to write a book. He's written several books, but he had to sit down and write a book. He didn't just like one day become Eckhart Tolle as we know him, and everyone was like, "Wow, you're this amazing writer and spiritual leader," and that just happened overnight because you visualized it. No, he put in physical action and did things, right? But there's also all the other elements. So I just feel like it's not talked about enough how to actually go from 0 to 100 in a fulfilling, sustainable way. So that's what we're talking about today. And I'm just putting this on YouTube for free because I feel like everyone needs to know this. The benefit to joining us in Dreamweaver Academy, just real quick before we jump in, is actually being able to have live calls every Tuesday where we talk about this kind of stuff. And it's really intimate. It's not this big giant platform where I'm just talking and everyone's on mute. Like, we engage. We talk a lot of crap. We have a lot of fun. But we talk about business, and we ask questions and answer questions. Sometimes it's super business stuff about pricing and this and that. And then other times it's very emotional. It's about anxiety. It's about stress. It's about burnout. Like, we talk about both the emotional side, the mental health side of it, and the business side. So the benefit of being with us and the crew is being able to chat back and forth with people who are going through what you're going through and get some live feedback, some live suggestions on maybe what you specifically in your situation can look at. So yeah, just plugging that real quick. If you love this by the end of the video and you're like, I want to, you know, get that live feedback, be in a supportive community, and get more info like this, then I'll have the link in the description, baby. So, the cool thing is that in this day and age, anything that you enjoy, anything you're passionate about and good at, you can turn into profit. Again, this is not all about money, but we have to pay bills, right? Maybe, again, you are here because you just want to do the thing more and see how far you can take it. That's great. So if you hear me say like success or anything like that or profit, don't think that you're excluded if you don't care about that. Maybe you're retired and you're like, I don't need to even make the money. That's fine. Just think of it as success as overall, whatever that means to you. Okay. It's overall fulfillment and movement forward in whatever way. I'm going to stop rambling now. So, number one, we want to talk about opening up your mind to the grandest vision or the grandest dream you can reach for. Now, why is this important? Because before you even start down a path, you want to understand you more. I know it sounds very esoteric, but you want to understand you, what you love, what you value, what's important to you. Why? Because I'll give you a perfect example. When I started singing and writing songs when I was like 13, I really thought I wanted to be famous. Probably because I'm not going to say it was because I was insecure, because that doesn't mean everyone who wants to be famous, it's because they're insecure. But in my case, it was because I wanted validation, right? So I chased this dream of being a famous singer songwriter, Beyonce on stage, right? Based on other people's visions of what success and being worthy meant. Okay. And that's why this is very important. So don't skip this step. Seeing yourself in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, knowing that your vision always changes. So don't worry about like having it all figured out. But if you're looking at that future version of yourself, it's about identifying what is really important to you. So rather than saying, oh, well, I want to be the next Beyonce, I want to be a famous singer. Okay, do you really want that? Or is that something you think you should say, right? Is that something that you feel like if that happened, you would be happier? It's just important to ask yourself that question. So, what is the grandest version of yourself? What is that big, massive dream? If we had no limits and we weren't saying you better think rational, we'll get to rational and structured steps later. Right now, in the beginning, it's about dreaming, right? Daydreaming. Just thinking, oh, I'm a photographer. Okay, I love to take photos or I love to act. What would I really, really love to do? Like, if there were no limits, if I wasn't worried about where I live, how much money I have, how pretty or handsome I am, or whatever other limits we put on ourselves, what would really just light me up? Just allow yourself to dream for a while, right? That's really, really important. Please don't skip that step. I know it sounds obvious, but it's the fun part. It's the really, really fun part. And I think it's really valuable. So once you've kind of created a grand vision for yourself, and again, we're not getting super specific yet. We're not saying, okay, I want to be a photographer that does high fashion editorial stuff. And we don't have to get into all that yet. Okay. Once you've dreamed the dreams, given yourself some time to explore the ideas, we want to start to identify the different pathways we can go. And actually, technically, before that, we should solidify a bit with flexibility, but solidify a bit the lane that you want to go into. So if you are a singer, okay, well, do you want to be a performer? Do you want to go out and be in a band or be a one man, one woman show? On the live show circuit, I live in Vegas, so that's the first thing people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, where do you sing?" I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not a stage performer. I don't enjoy performing that much, to be honest. I'm a studio singer." And they're like, "What? What does that mean?" Well, I write and record songs for a living. That's what I do because I love being in the studio. But maybe you love singing on stage. Maybe you love acting in commercials. Maybe you love um again, with the photography example, maybe you love weddings. You love doing weddings, right? Or maybe you hate weddings, but you love nature photography. Start to kind of identify a lane. And how we do that is a combination of what you love, what comes easy to you. I don't mean that you don't have to ever do any work or sharpen your skills, but what kind of comes easy to you, natural to you. Also what other people tell you you're good at. And it's not all about what other people think, of course, but you often get really good feedback from people. And I would take it with a grain of salt, but also evaluate if it has some truth in it, always. So someone keeps telling you, man, whenever you take pictures of nature, it's just stunning. I love when you do nature, right? You start getting these reoccurring themes of when you do this, man, it's so good. You get all the likes and comments on this particular style of thing. You want to take that into consideration because there are so many options, right? You have this one creative talent, and there are so many ways that you can move forward with it. And I want to make it very clear that it's not about narrowing down your lane and putting yourself in a box so that you can only do this one thing. You can do whatever the hell you want, baby. But it's about getting some type of structure, just enough in there to see where you can really dominate. Okay. And that kind of goes more into the business side, the niche side, right? I'm going to give you a weird example that some of you have heard if you've been watching me for a while, and some of you who are new are going to be like, really? Um, when I started looking at how I could actually make music my career, there were a ton of options. I could teach vocal lessons. I could join a band, which I did for a short period of time and realized I hated it. No offense, but I didn't really like performing on stage. But cover band was an option. You could make money doing that. My stepdad does that still. Leonard Skinner tribute band, and he loves it, and they're amazing. And they make really good money, but I didn't enjoy that. So I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, what else could I do? There were just so many different options. And I remember being on Craigslist one day. Craigslist back in the day, for all you youngins, was kind of like our job board, but for weird stuff. It was like your classifieds online. You don't even know what classifieds means if you're, a youngin. But anyways, basically, it was a place where before we had social media, people were posting stuff like singer needed, or people would sell stuff. Rarely was it like a corporate job posting. People didn't really do that on Craigslist. So, anyways, I was on there and I just typed in singer just to see, what was out there. And a weird random posting popped up for singers needed for, like basically work from home music recordings. I'm like, okay. And then I found out it was for competitive cheerleading music mixes. And I'm like, I used to be cheerleader. I used to coach cheerleading. That's kind of a weird, interesting synchronicity, but let's just see about this. So it turned out that they were hiring more singers to record either sound alikes because they can't play the actual Beyonce song in their music mix if it's like a live recorded televised event, right? Because they can't get the rights. So you could do like a cover version, right? Somebody that sounds pretty close to Beyonce. It's kind of like reminds me of Kids Bop type of deal. But either that or custom songs, custom raps, custom little choruses or anthems for the teams. So I started doing that, and it turned out I was really good at it. Probably a combination of me finally discovering that actually songwriting, not that singing isn't, part of my talent, it is, but songwriting was the really unique part for me. Like being a songwriter was something that people started to tell me, wow, you're a really good songwriter. And I didn't really think that of myself. I just thought, oh, I'm pretty poetic and creative, but they're like, no, you're a really good songwriter. You're a good singer too, but songwriting is kind of your special thing. I'm like, all right. But even in that, what type of songwriting for what? What type of songs like that? I had to figure that out too. But this weird niche kind of came out of nowhere. And they're like, wow, you really get this industry. You get the style because you're modern. I mean, if I was like a metal singer, or a country singer, this would not be a good niche for me, right? It wouldn't be a good service for me to offer because it would be way outside of what I'm good at. You could do it, but it would take a lot more work. You don't want to try to make puzzle pieces fit when it comes to a creative career or business. You want to find what you are a rock star at and develop the crap out of that and get better and better and better and level up. We'll get into that more later. But anyhow, long story short, I started doing that. I developed my skills with it. I got better because I didn't even really know how to record myself. So it was something I had to learn. So again, when I say something you're naturally good at and you like, I thought it was fun, I enjoyed it, doesn't mean that you're a master at it. It just means that there's some natural talent there. There's a little bit of natural ease. That does not mean that you're not going to have to spend time developing it. I had to learn how to record myself, how to edit my own vocals, and that took work. But it felt like work I was totally willing to do. And that's a huge point as a creative entrepreneur. You want to look at when you're dreaming big, what am I willing to do? I don't want to say what pain am I willing to go through. I know that sounds really negative, but let's just go with it because it's easy to understand. Like, what pain am I willing to endure? Because a lot of people will say, that's so negative. Don't talk about pain and what a bad perspective. But it's not. An athlete goes through pain. It's not negative to say that. It's true. When you build muscle, it hurts. You get sore after you do, push-ups and you're not used to it. Or you add more weight and you're doing bicep curls. You're like, oh man, the next day you're sore, but your muscles are growing, right? The fibers are tearing and repairing and growth is happening. So it's what kind are you willing to do? I hate running. So if I was new to fitness and someone was like, well, you really need to be running, I probably just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't exercise because I'm like, I hate running. I would have to force myself to work out every day and I would hate it. I find that I really like free weights and doing circuit training. I love it. It's short. It's not easy, but like it's short. It's simple. 5 different exercises: upper body push and pull, either vertical or horizontal, and a hip dominant and a knee dominant exercise with a core exercise at the end. 3 rounds. I'm done. Right? So it's just about finding what you're willing to do. Anyways, I found what I was willing to do. So start considering, brainstorming, writing down what things are you willing to do? What things actually sound good to you? And you may not know. You may be in the total beginning stages and you're like, I have this talent. I don't really know what I want to do with it. I know I want to be in movies as an actor. Okay, great. Experiment with a couple different ideas. Maybe you start working towards trying commercials, just to get something going. Or maybe it's looking at local colleges and seeing if they've got a film program that you can get into, or meeting up with some people in that program and saying, hey, I am a new actor. I'm taking acting classes and kind of trying to get in. If you've got skits and projects, or you can make your own skits, right? It's opening yourself up to the different ideas and thinking outside of the box, because using the actor example, oh, there was this girl, Lily Singh. I think it was Lily Singh. For anyone young, you're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" But, if you're a millennial, you'll get what I'm talking about here. She was on Vine, right? Before TikTok, it was Vine. She was on Vine, and then, when Vine kind of phased out, I don't know if she got on TikTok, but I know she got on YouTube and got really big on there too. And she had said that she wanted to be an actress, like, for a long time, but she grew up in a I think she grew up in an area that was nowhere near LA, and she didn't wanna move to LA and do the Hollywood thing, or she couldn't. I can't remember what it was, but either way, that traditional route of, "I wanna be an actor, let me take acting classes, then move to LA and, get a part-time job while I do auditions," that's not necessarily everyone's path. So, maybe try that, but also be open to other possibilities like, "Oh, I could actually," if I'm a person who likes to create, maybe you're also good at writing or improvising. You're a comedian, you have multiple talents. You can think about doing what she did, which is get popular on social media and become, you know, an influencer or a brand or an entertainer online that people love, and that can transition you into getting into movies. Like, there are so many different ways to get where you want to go. So many different highways, baby. Life is a highway. I didn't even know the lyrics. That's sad. Life is a highway. I wanna ride it all night long. That's the only line I know from the song, but it popped in my head, so it was important. Anyways, um, there are so many different ways. Just start thinking about what makes sense to you and, you know, get creative. Think outside the box. So, after you've kind of identified what feels good to you, what you're leaning towards in terms of pathways, get really good. That's number 3. Okay? Get really good at the thing. I know that's obvious, but a lot of people skip that part because they don't want to do the work. It can be fun, and you go at your own pace. You get to choose your level of intensity, which we'll talk about in a minute too. But you need to get really good, okay? For multiple reasons. One, of course, because you always wanna be growing. It's very fulfilling emotionally to grow and expand and get better and better and better at something. Not because it's a competition in life and you need to be the best, not because you're not worthy if you're not advancing. It's not about that. But there is a sense of fulfillment that comes with growth in anything, right? It just feels good. But also to become a well respected and person who has longevity. Okay, that's the difference between a one hit wonder and somebody who is legendary. And again, this isn't about you needing to be a legendary success and, people remember you like Michael Jackson for years and years to come. It's not about that. It's about personal fulfillment and having the longevity in your career because the last thing you want is to get really excited about something, launch, skyrocket to success, and then fall flat on your face because financially, that's a trap. Emotionally, that's a trap, right? That it's like sugar highs, right? Or any type of high. It feels really good in the moment, but with nothing to sustain it. No fiber, no protein, right? No proper exercise and sleep pattern. That crash and burn can make you really sick. Um, and you kind of have nowhere to go. It's like you go all the way back down to the bottom. Maybe you're even lower than you were when you started. And now you've got to climb a mountain again. And a lot of people just, after being a one hit wonder and hitting that crash, they're like, forget it. It's not worth me climbing up that mountain again. So longevity is really important. So get really good. Respect your art. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying that, you're only a true artist if you're always trying to expand your craft, right? I'm not that serious. I'm serious about what I do in the sense that I will always be looking to grow and improve, and study, but I'm not, the Tony Robbins of artists. No shade to Tony Robbins, love Tony Robbins, but I'm not here to tell you, like, you need to just grind. Everyone should want to be the best of the best. No, that's fine if you don't care to be, the greatest of all time. Not everyone needs to be a Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. You know what I mean? Not everyone needs to be a Michael Jackson. There's nothing wrong with just being like, hey, I just want to, like, keep doing this thing because I enjoy it and I'd like to make money doing it. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that dream. Okay. Don't let anyone tell you different. Anyways, getting coaching is part of that, right? The reason that I got business coaching a couple years back was because I knew I had the talent. I knew I had like good customer service skills because I had always worked customer service jobs. So I'm like, cool, these two things I can work on. But outside of that, all of my crash and burns were because I had no structure. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know how to start a business. And if you're a freelancer, you own a business. Sorry, it is what it is. I know you want to focus on the art. You should, but you also have to understand that by default, you are a business. So if you have zero business skills, I would recommend that not just developing your talent, but also learning about the business, right? So the next step would be, really same step, look at where you can get coaching, look at where you can take classes, where you can learn for free on YouTube. Just start getting the information so that you can understand what you're going to need to do in order to move forward with this. Um, so coaching is important in some way. Doesn't always have to be paid coaching or courses. It can be, like I said, watching a lot of videos on YouTube, knowing that you're going to get different advice from different people. So again, always take it with a grain of salt, but look at the people who are providing the information and make sure that they're living a life you want to live. They're doing a thing you want to do. So for example, if I'm taking advice about music, I'm not going to take it from someone who is like focused on building a fan base and performing because that's not what I want to do. I'll take advice from somebody who is a songwriter for, like Sia. If I ever got to talk to Sia, I'd be like, oh my God, please tell me everything. How did you start this? What did you do? Where did you go? Um, I'm going to listen to a songwriter who's working with big artists who also puts out their own music. Like that's my lane, right? So make sure you're learning from the right people. So I would also recommend step 4, joining some type of community. You should join my community first off, but if that's not right for you, find a community of people doing exactly what you want to do. So if you are an artist and you make something, you sell jewelry or something on Etsy, find some type of community group of people who also do that. Now with the internet, man, you can find them anywhere. You can live anywhere and be part of a community online for free on Facebook, on Reddit, I don't know, on school where I have my community, school.com. There are so many options. Find a group of people doing the thing you want to do because it's really, really, really helpful to be supported, to not feel like you're alone because there's only so much that Googling can do with so many different opinions. It's so much easier to talk to someone for real, right? On a video call, on the phone, through text, and be like, okay, what has actually worked for you? Because I know you're doing the thing that I want to do. You make jewelry on Etsy and you sell it. What are you doing? Or how did you deal with this? How did you learn how to price yourself? Like, these are things that you want to be in a community for. So try to find some type of community. It may take some time to find the right one. You may join one. I've joined music communities that I was like, because again, it was about building a fan base and like being like an indie musician. And I was like, I'm more focused on the songwriting side and like getting placements on TV and stuff. That's very different. So I need to kind of find a different community. It may take some time, just as long as the community is generally positive and people are kind, that's a good starting point, right? But yeah, community is super, super helpful. That helped me get through a lot of confusing periods where I just felt like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, or I was just so frustrated and tired and burnt out. The more you're alone in everything you're doing, the harder it gets to get through those times. So partner up, baby. Find people to help you. Um, Next, what are we on? Step 4? Step 5? I don't know what step we're on anymore. I'll put it on the screen. Actually identifying your goals. So we're getting a little bit into the more structured A-type business side here, but it's actually fun. So even if you're not into that, if you're like, oh, I'm such a creative, I don't want to think about business, goals are really taking your dreams, those beautiful daydreams, and just figuring out what steps you can take towards them. That's all. Okay. So, identifying your goals. I do not like to create a very specific practice for this. I like to take my daydreams, all the things I love that I would love to do, and I like to prioritize them because there might be some things that make sense to focus on now and some things that might be better for later on. For example, for me, I kind of put aside a lot of my music stuff for the past year because I had just started learning voice acting and I really wanted to focus on getting into that and then growing it and scaling it. So I needed to really focus most of my time and energy on that because it's a brand new thing, right? So I kind of put aside some of my music goals in order to work on my voice acting stuff. So that's why it's good to give a little bit of structure to what you're doing. So if your first goal, let's say, is to just start making money with what your talent is, and then your next goal is to quit your 9 to 5 or hit a certain income goal, or um, maybe it's more of a career milestone, like get on my first movie or, whatever, get my photos in a magazine. Start identifying what your major goals are. And again, please know it does not have to be some impressive, you know, being a billionaire kind of goal. It's totally fine if you're like, I just really want to do this do this more. I just want to do it on a daily basis where I wake up and I enjoy writing. Cool. That is a goal, right? So then we could talk about later, how do you get to that goal? What does that mean? What needs to shift in your life to get there? Right? So I just wanted to remind you, it does not need to be some impressive, massive goal. But identify your goals, write them out, list them out, and then begin to prioritize them. What is most important to me right now? Not that you can't work towards all of them at the same time, but there might be some that require a little more energy. Like I said with my voice acting stuff, that has been requiring way more of my time. It's probably going to be the rest of this year that I'm going to be focused on that. I'm still writing and creating one song a month with my producer partner. Every month we're doing a song. Even that right now though has felt like a lot. It's almost the 15th, or when I drop this it'll be the 15th probably. And usually by the 15th I already have vocals sent to him. That's kind of like our date. And I have the song written, haven't recorded it, haven't even started, right? And I'm like, "Oh my god, tomorrow's the 15th. That's crazy." But, point being, there might be some things that are more important at this time. Just kind of start getting some type of structure together and then prioritizing based on what is most important to you or what you feel like you can achieve first. Because sometimes it's a matter of ease. Like, okay, the first thing I can achieve is this because I already have some ideas of how to do it. I already have some resources, right? Maybe the first thing is coming up with the name of your business. Maybe the second thing is launching a website or going to your first art show. Um, just start identifying those goals. It's fun. It's actually really fun. Next, we want to make a general overview of kind of a loose timeline. So let's say you want to start your Etsy site and you want to actually create a certain amount of products to put on your Etsy site that you have created, and you want to get your first sale in the next 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. That's kind of your general overview, right? There's some specifics in there, but it's kind of a general thing. For me, it was I wanted to get my voice acting business started last year. And that meant getting demos, a commercial demo, and then an animation voice acting demo, getting my website up, and beginning to audition. Yes, I wanted to get signed to agencies and book big gigs, but my general overview was I want to get my demos so I can get my website, get all my casting site profiles up, and start auditioning. Boom. And yes, book my first job. But that's the general overview. So create your general overview, and then we can break it down into action steps. So if your general overview, let's go back to the Etsy example, is create products to put on Etsy, launch my Etsy site, have it up ready to sell. That's kind of your general overview. Okay. So then what do we want to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis to move towards that. If you're starting from absolute scratch and you have a full-time job, then you're going to want to look at how much time do I realistically have, not just literal time, but also energy, right? Also, if you've got kids, you want to still spend time with your kids. You want to still take them to school and do all the things that you're doing. But carve out some time to work on your craft, to start working on getting those products up for Etsy. So realistically, what can I do? What do I want to do? How many days a week do I want to dedicate towards this? This can change at any time. Do not feel like you have to create a system now that's perfect and structured, but let's say Monday through Friday. You always do fun stuff with your family on the weekends. You want to keep that open, or maybe you have busy weekends cleaning and sports stuff, on the weekends, whatever. So Monday through Friday, let's just say you want to keep that. Or I have a friend in voice acting who has 3 days a week where she either has her husband like watching the kids, I think because he's not working, or a family member or somebody. So she has 3 days out of the week that she can really dedicate towards her voice acting. So that's what works for her. She probably gets a couple other days here and there to work some stuff in, but really 3 days a week, she has like the whole day. So that's what works for her. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or something that she is going hard. Okay. So create your system. How many days a week? How many hours do I have? Do I feel okay with dedicating? And you might be like me, like, I'm going to go hard Monday through Saturday. I'm going to do it all day. And you're just a hustler, right? And you start doing that for a few months and you're like, holy shit, I'm exhausted. I can't keep this up. That's me with YouTube and social media. I'm like, I'm going to do it every day. I'm going to post a video a week and a short or a reel every single day. I'm going to go hard, son. And then after 1 month, I'm always like, why do I always do this? I can't sustain that. I could if I really wanted to, but I don't. I'm tired. I want to do other things, right? So don't be so hard on yourself, but create that general plan. And that happens by breaking these big steps down, okay? I don't have any product to put up on Etsy right now. So maybe this week, today for me is Sunday, so pretend it's Sunday for you. This is Sunday, so okay, tomorrow's Monday, and I said I could dedicate an hour a day because I have a full-time job, let's say Monday through Friday. Cool. So what time do you want to start working on something? Okay, 7:00. Perfect. So at 7:00 tomorrow, I'm going to start creating a necklace, or I'm gonna sit down. Here's an even better way. I'm gonna sit down Monday through Friday this next week, every day at 7:00, and I'm gonna brainstorm. I'm gonna write down different ideas. I'm gonna research, right? There's so much that goes into creating that isn't always just doing the thing. Sometimes it's research. Sometimes it's classes. For me with voice acting, it was taking workshops and classes and learning, practicing, getting feedback. So for me, it was, they said generally between 6 and 12 months, if you're consistently taking classes, you'll be ready to do a demo and start auditioning. So I said, I want to do it in 6 months. And I took at least one class every single week, sometimes twice a week. I showed up. I dedicated my time each week, even when I was tired, to doing that, to showing up and learning with the goal of getting my demo after 6 months. And I did. Okay. So it's just identifying what works for you, what steps you can take right now based on how much time and energy you have. Create some type of a schedule for yourself. And please, for the love of God, we're going to make this a next step because I feel like it's really important on its own. So let's go into the next step. Choose your level of intensity that works for you. Please, that works for you. This is the fulfillment, sustainability, happiness part. It has to work for you. We do not all have the same time. I don't say hate much, but girl, baby, boy, gender non-conforming individual, aliens, humans, whoever's listening, my cat who's outside the door crying. Choose the level of intensity that's appropriate for you and don't feel bad if it's not as intense as your neighbor. Okay? Again, with this very heavy energy of like, dominate, push as hard as you can, and if you don't, you're a loser. Shut up. Choose your level of intensity based on where you're at in life, how you feel, and know that you may not get there as fast as someone else who is working twice as hard, and that's okay. You don't need to get somewhere as fast. If you're like me and you're very impatient and you have an intense personality, even though people, when they meet me, they're like, oh, you're so chill and laid back. I'm like, you don't see the crippling anxiety that's underneath the surface, which I have been working on for years. So I'm half joking, half serious. But I have a high level of intensity because there's a lot I want to do in a short amount of time. That's not everyone. I also love the rush of being an entrepreneur and pushing. I was an athlete. I loved pushing myself to the limit. But I was not nearly as intense as some people who were, you know, working out 6 days a week incredibly hard in the gym for an extra hour. I was not a Kobe Bryant. Okay. I was never a Kobe Bryant. I use him as an example all the time because people tell stories about him constantly around him being there an hour after practice continuing to make shots over and over. Everyone's gone home. He's the last one in the gym. I was never that person. I always worked very hard. I always focused and pushed myself and showed up, but I was not the above and beyond person. I wasn't that way in school. I wasn't that way in sports. I was just good. I had talent and I worked hard. So I was like above average, but not excellent at most things. Same with music. I never went above and beyond to be the best singer in the world. I did work hard though, and I did put in the time and work to develop my voice and technique. But I'm just saying this to tell you that there are different levels of intensity and it's okay. I have friends who, I was just talking to this girl yesterday who's in my voice acting community that has a 9 to 5. And she's like, man, I can't wait until I have the flexibility. And I'm like, I get it. I've been there. You will get to the point where you can do this full time and you won't need that. But make sure that you choose the level of intensity that's appropriate for you. So don't push yourself to the limit because you think you should be able to quit your job to do your acting full time. If you want it really bad, and you're willing to go extremely hard, I think that's great. Then make your plan that says we're at 10 out of 10 intensity. That means that you're not going to go on vacation. That means you're not going to take weekends off. That means you're going to be very intense. You're going to say no to outings with friends. You're not going to be out drinking and partying because you're going to be hustling. That was what I chose to do. But you don't have to. Okay. I know other people who are like, I want to make this full time, but I don't have a timeline because I enjoy my job. I have friends who love their 9 to 5s. I have a friend who works for the police department. I forget exactly what she does, but she works for the police department in Las Vegas. And she has a great job and she loves her coworkers. She loves her employer. She loves the company. She enjoys what she does. I have another friend who does live announce stuff at sports games. He's like the live announcer guy and he's a voice actor too. He loves doing the live announce things, right? And yes, that is voice acting, but it's different than like doing commercials and radio stuff. Obviously, you get paid way more doing that, but he's in no hurry or rush. He's also a little bit of an older gentleman. So, you also have retired people who are like, I don't need to make money. I just want to, continue to raise the level of what I'm doing. So, anyways, long story short, driving home that you want to choose what's right for you. Make your plan based on your level of intensity. If you're going all in hard, you know, hard in the paint, let's do it. We're going ham. Cool. Then you're dedicating every hour you have, with the exception of making sure you're sleeping, exercising, and taking care of yourself. I know that's hard if you're a parent. I get it, but do what's best for you. Okay. Moving on. So, we want to identify next how you get leads. And this is what research, being part of a community, getting coaching does for you. And if you join my community, that's something I'm happy to help people research. I'm pretty good at research because I enjoy it. And my mom was always good at it. So I learned kind of how to research things and sift through the crap. Because if you, we'll talk about AI later, but if you like use AI and you're like, how do I become a famous singer? How do I become blah, blah, blah? They're just going to pull the top articles together, and they're not always that accurate. They're not always modern. They're not always appropriate for you and what you're doing. Okay. So you want to look at the person providing the information once again and make sure that their journey aligns with where you want to go. So again, if you are somebody selling on Etsy, you're looking at someone who makes jewelry, but they mass produce jewelry. So they come up with like kind of a design, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they come up with a design, they hire someone else to make thousands of them. And that's not what you want to do. You like doing everything by hand. You go and find the materials, out in the forest. I don't know. Like that'd be really cool, or you have a kiln. Is it called a kiln? Kiln? Where you like do the pottery thing? I don't know. This girl that I follow, Moonbeams on Instagram, I think. Her name is Paloma. She's amazing. She's struggling with cancer right now. So if you like handmade jewelry and you really like spooky stuff like Halloween, please go follow her. I'll put her name on the screen because she's amazing and I want her to get through this journey. I have bought jewelry from her and I just think she's such a cool person. Anyways, that was a random plug, but she actually hand makes her jewelry, right? So if you're somebody who wants to go collect the materials or do it all yourself and it's very personal, then following advice from somebody who mass produces stuff, you might get some good stuff out of it. But again, make sure that you are finding somebody who's doing what you want to do. And they're going to have the best information on how to get leads. So you want to identify what type of business that you have. What I mean by that is, are you a product based business or a service based business? Or maybe you're both. Okay, a product based business is the person who sells art, right? My husband is an artist and he does digital art. He does logos for people and stuff, but he really loves to paint and draw. So he did a mural on like the glass doors outside of the business 888 Collectibles in Las Vegas. Make sure you check them out and check him out. I'll put his information on the screen. Shameless plug. But he went and painted that. So that is the service. He got hired to paint this, but he's also a product-based business because he creates canvases and things that he sells. He's actually at oh my gosh, what is it called? Sin City Card Show. It's like a anime, mostly Pokemon trading card show. He does Pokemon trading, but he also creates Pokemon art. So he has a binder he painted on last week with Pokemon designs that are, God, so amazing. And he's made a bunch of like stickers and like credit card covers with his custom art designs. So he does both products and services. I am 100% a service-based business. I write and record songs for people who commission me, and I do voice acting for people that commission me. They want me to do a voice for a game, I provide that service. So you want to identify if you want to do more product-based, more service-based, or if you want to hybrid it. And again, this comes down to, what do you really enjoy doing? I don't enjoy performing. I don't want to go and be on stage and make my money that way. So I'm not going to. I want to do it at home in my studio. So just start really looking at how you want to go about it. Social media, it feels almost impossible to create a business and grow it without social media these days. But you know what? You can do whatever the hell you want. There are still people who create and scale a business without social media. So if you are like, hey, I'm old school, I want to create my art and I want to go to art fairs and festivals and, market night or trade shows or whatever it is, great. You don't need a social media then. Fine. Cool. You can do it however you want. Just start looking at all the different ways. And you can simply start with, how to make money doing this and look at the different ways. But the community part is so helpful because you'll get those weird niches, like I told you with the cheerleading music. If a singer came to me and was like, how do I make money doing this? What are my options? I can tell them, this is a weird thing that I do. But of course, there's also the traditional sense. You can do vocal lessons. You can join a band, do cover songs. One of my stepdad's bandmates, the singer of his band, he has the tribute group. And then to supplement outside of that, He does retirement homes, like, the elderly communities. He goes and does like the classics, all the classic songs that those people grew up with. He sings at the retirement homes and nursing homes and hospitals, right? There are so many different ways. So you want to start looking at what ways you would like to go about it. You have the social media route. You have, if you're a tech person, you have creating a website, getting really good at SEO, and creating funnels, using ads, doing that whole thing. Look at what you have in terms of strengths and capitalize on those strengths. If you hate social media and you suck at it and you don't want anything to do with it, what else do you like? Are you an in-person networking person? An in-person networking person. Find a more elegant way to say that. Are you someone who prefers to be in person? Target that. Look up what events happen in your area or in any area you're willing to travel to every year, every month, and make a plan that you're going to go show up. You're like my husband and you want to go to the trade shows. He loves doing the trading card shows and selling his art there, and he's killing it. He made a killing yesterday. I was so happy for him, right? That was a lane that he decided he wanted to go down, and it's working well for him. And he also does social media really well. But look at all the different ways, pick a lane, start learning everything that you can about it. If you, again, are like a tech person and you want to create the website and master the art of SEO and create funnels and use marketing in that sense, learn everything you can. Take classes on that, get a mentor, go down that route. I am a combination of utilizing freelance platforms. I've always had a knack for learning how to use them, understanding how to stand out because I had to find a way to say this. It doesn't sound like arrogant because I do not mean this in an arrogant way at all. My personality attracts people that I need, not in an opportunistic way, but in a way of like, I am very real. I'm never fake when it comes to interactions on a business level. I'm always myself, but I'm able to do it in a way that's professional. So I've always been able to easily get hired for any job, even if I wasn't qualified, because I just know how to relate to people. I'm naturally good at, maybe if you're into woo-woo stuff, it's the Libra in me. I know how to charm people, not in a manipulative way, but in a way of like, oh, this person is really old school. Let's talk about cars, or let's talk about sports. Not in a fake way or manipulative way, in a general way of like, oh man, my dad loves baseball. I grew up, unfortunately having to watch the Yankees. Sorry, New York fans, but I'm an Angels girl. But, just connecting with people. I've always been good at personally connecting with people, not so much on social media. I still don't feel comfortable like trying to connect with a broader audience in that way. I have a natural talent at getting on like a freelance platform, a casting site, being able to present myself in a way that really connects with people. And when I do get in a conversation with them, I always book because I just know how to make them feel like they can trust me, like I'm genuine, like I'm somebody that is going to be fun to work with, right? So that's my natural talent. I'm good at pitching myself. I can usually send let's say 10 emails and get at least half of the people responding just because they like how I connected with them. So that's my thing. My husband's in social media. He crushes it on Instagram. Okay. But we're not all the same. So find what you're good at or something that you're really willing to get good at and use that as your way to target leads while also staying completely open to all of the other ways. Maybe you don't like social media, but you're open to maybe eventually making YouTube videos or maybe eventually posting some of your stuff on TikTok. You just don't want to be like obsessed with it. Cool. Always stay open, but definitely narrow your focus to one particular avenue or two. Okay. So basically, with the creative business these days, you have the avenue that is very focused on building an audience, building a brand. We all need to build a brand to a certain extent, sure, but people who are really into building that audience, building that brand, people that want to come and see them on social media every day. Um, that more entertainer side, right? Usually those people gravitate, except for me, gravitate towards building an audience. Or you have your direct marketing approach, which is that you like to reach out to people, you like to meet people in person, you like a more traditional approach in that sense. The old handshake, look me in the eyes. Um, Cold outreach. Maybe you're somebody who worked a sales job and you are perfectly fine with sending out 100 cold emails a day, using AI to help get leads, using paid marketing to help get leads. There are so many different ways. So pick a lane and just start going after it. Know that it's okay if you start doing something. I tried doing the whole Facebook ads, create a funnel thing, and I realized I hated it and I didn't ever want to do it again. Someday I'll have someone do that. If I hire a team, they could do that. I don't want to do it. So it might change. Be okay with it changing. Anyhow, setting your price and getting going. Once you have learned what it is that you need to do to take the next step, to move forward, to create your business, to get things moving, once you've gotten some coaching, you've gotten really good, your skills are sharp, you've picked a lane, you've created the steps, you're working every day or every week towards it, you need to set your pricing. Okay. Now, again, this is something that can be fluid and change, and you get to do whatever the hell you want, but definitely start by looking at what the industry standard is. Does not mean you have to stick to the industry standard. You can do whatever you want. It's free world, baby. But it's good to have a general sense of what people charge in your industry. Luckily for me, as a voice actor, even though I'm non-union, we have GVAA, which is like the kind of general global voice acting rates for various types of projects. Start there. Look at if you're on Etsy selling art, right? Look at what other people who do something similar to you are selling stuff for. What materials are they using? Oh, I'm using those materials. So, it costs this much to make it. These people are selling it for this. You don't have to do what they're doing, but get a general idea of what the industry standard is. What's really important is whatever you decide to do, that you're doing it out of setting your own standard for what you feel comfortable with, rather than a desperate plea to either make the most money you can. I'm just going to, set my rates really high. I'm going to decide that I'm worth $1,000 an hour just because, like, why not? I'm worth that because, I've just done more work than anyone else. Like, there's that side. And then there's the side that undercuts the market and is so desperate because, oh, I'm new. So I'm going to do anything they ask me to for like $50 because I just need to get some gigs. Do whatever you want. I understand the idea that when you're first starting out, you just want to get things going so you can get some reviews. It's not wrong, but what happens when you undercut, or I don't know if overcut is a word, probably not. We'll say undercut or overcharge, right? In the market is, if it's not genuine, if you're not doing it from a place of like, this truly feels right to me, then one, people feel the desperate energy on either side. And it's kind of repulsive in a way. A lot of people will kind of push back and stay away from you because they won't take you seriously, right? If you're desperate to just get started and you'll do it for any rate, you'll have some people that'll appreciate that because they're like, okay, you're really hungry. But a lot of people will assume that you're a beginner and that you're not that good yet. You don't have a lot of jobs to show. You don't have a portfolio yet. So a lot of people are going to be nervous to work with you if they see that you're offering a ridiculously low price. And on the other side, you get some people who are like, wow, okay, girl, you're charging $1,000 an hour. You must be special. I want to work with you. You might get some people like that, but you're also getting a lot of people who are like, why would you be charging twice when everyone else is charging? Like, are you Beyonce? Because if you're not, that's kind of wild. Again, do whatever you want. But people generally feel desperate energy. And it's also really bad for the industry. I'm not saying that you need to worry about everyone else, but there's a level of respect as an artist. I think this is just my opinion. I think everyone should have that says, I'm not going to go way out of, you know, the general structure just to make a point or just to get more business, especially if you're undercutting. It makes it really hard for the people that are charging like more of the average rate um, to make a living. Like you're kind of messing up the industry for these people. And that happened when Fiverr came out because a lot of people who are on Fiverr or, all around the world in places where the US dollar is much more valuable. And this is not their fault, right? That they're able to do a job for $5 that, I would do for $20. It's not their fault because their currency is different than ours. So for them to be getting paid, $5 in US dollars might be really good to them. So what happens is, again, it's not their fault, but when I get on Fiverr, let's say, and I'm like, I'm not making this thing for $5. That's insane because I live in America in the US dollar. $5 is like not even going to get me a meal these days. Like even fast food places most of them aren't offering a meal for $5 anymore. Very rarely, right? So where I live, $5 is nothing. And so people coming on there, especially if they are someone in the States, charging $5 for something just because they're like, oh, if I charge 5, I can get 100 orders and then I'll make a lot of money. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to be putting out crappy quality and you're kind of ruining it for everyone else, right? Again, the people that are on there that are from other countries, that's not their fault. So I would never blame them for that. But the people who are knowingly undercutting out of desperation versus just out of like, oh, there's just circumstance that, I'm able to do it for less. Just don't do it. I'm not telling you what to do. I guess I am. Please don't do it. I'm asking you. Please don't. But also the other problem is that it's very hard once you've set this really, really low price to then expect people to pay more as you grow, even though it's logical that as you get more experience, you've been doing it longer, you have a lot to show for your hard work and time. Okay, I've booked these jobs now, and hey, I'm getting really busy. I have to up my prices. Yes. But if you've been charging $5 when you should have charged $20, $30, $40, $50, people are going to expect that you're always going to be cheap. And so when you start trying to charge real rates, you're going to get a lot of pushback. And it's almost like you're going to have to start over because now you're going to have to look for the clientele who's willing to pay the standard fee. And you've always been working with people who are cheapskates or who just can't afford it, which is totally okay. But a lot of times what happens with those clients too, from experience, I can tell you, the people who want the biggest deal often are the people that are the pickiest and are going to ask the most for the least amount of money. So they're going to ask for 5 revisions of a song. Whereas somebody who's paying you $500 is like, no, that was pretty good. Can you just tweak this little part here? Okay, great. Invoice paid. We're done. Right? Most of the time, the people that like pay the bigger bucks, they're really easy to work with. Not always, not always. But that's what happens a lot of the time. So if you're undercutting and you're charging, or you're going way over the standard rate and you're overcharging, you'll get that same energy. You'll get those people that are like, well, okay, miss $1,000 an hour. Well, then I expect diamond encrusted, pens and gifts sent along with my order. Like that sounds ridiculous, but you have to understand what people's expectations are going to be and look at the industry standard, look at your experience level. That's where it gets a little tricky because just because you haven't been professionally doing something for as long as someone else doesn't mean that you're not as valuable, but understand that, for example, for an audiobook narrator, the rates are generally this is a big range, right? Between $150 an hour to $500 an hour. Okay. People at $100 to $150 an hour are probably people that are very new, that are still learning, that just really want to start getting out there and getting some work. People making $500 per finished hour doing an audiobook are probably signed to a publishing company like Penguin Random House. And so, they're signed to an agency. and it's a very different situation. Where most people fall is somewhere in the middle, and that's where I am. I don't really do audiobooks often, but when I do, I charge $250 per finished hour, which is a good deal. It's not super low bottom of the barrel because I have experience, I have good equipment, I do a good job, people like my narration, so I am comfortable charging a medium rate. But, I'm not with a publishing house. I'm not in my mind, I'm not spending that much time developing my audiobook narration skills. So I'm comfortable being in the middle. For other things, like video games, for example, I will not, um, do a lot of the super indie budget stuff. And some people may think that that sounds so arrogant, you know, "Oh, I don't." It's not that I'll never work with an indie budget. Video games notoriously don't pay very well for voice actors, even at professional levels. The standard rate's like 250 per hour versus a radio commercial, or even better yet, a television commercial that is 1 minute worth of recording can make you $300, right? So, compare those rates, an hour versus a minute. Even if you do a live session, it's 20, 30 minutes. Still, $300 in 30 minutes is a lot better than 250 in an hour. But looking at those standard rates, I feel that my level of experience plus the dedication and the energy that I put into my voice acting stuff for video games and animation, I put my heart and soul into it. So I am not willing to do an hour's worth of audio for $50. And a lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people say like, "Oh no, I'm working with a lot of indie game people. That's their budget." I'm like, I totally get it. I'm open to it if it was like an amazing project that I like fell in love with, totally, every once in a while. But I'm more comfortable charging, higher rates for my video game voice acting. Still in the middle. I'm not like outrageous with it. I'm not charging $500 per hour, but I'm not as willing to do super low rate stuff with video game voice acting, animation voice acting, because I put a lot into it. But for the audiobooks, I'm okay with being totally in the middle, slightly on the lower end. And I still provide just as good a value. It's just I don't feel comfortable charging higher rates with that. So take whatever you want from that whole spiel there, but it's very personal, with about 50% of it being research and looking at what the industry is. Again, you do not have to stay with the industry rates. It's just a suggestion because you want to respect the art, you want to respect the industry and the other people in the game. That's just my 2 cents. Okay. So after you've gotten going, how do you actually scale? How do you make this an actual business? Well, 2 things. First off, you want to know how much you actually need to make a living. Okay. I know, obvious, but your girl here didn't know anything about personal finance or apparently common sense with money. So I didn't really understand how much I needed to actually survive. I just thought like, okay, back in 2013, I think it was, or 15. Well, I make 1,600 a month at my minimum wage job. So if I'm making 1,600 a month, then I can quit my job, right? So I did that multiple times with no savings. Okay. And what happened was, you can imagine, for 6 months, let's say I was making really good money. I probably was making about 1,600 a month. So I'm like, cool, I'm good. I don't need another job, doing music for a living. And then we hit our first slow period. Every industry is going to have ups and downs. Certain times of the year where things are busy, certain times of the year where things are a little bit slower. One month you have an amazing, incredible month and you're like, wow, I'm balling. I can go out to all these dinners and I made 15K. And then the next month you're like, whoa, I made 5K. What happened, right? There's a certain amount of, you know, ebb and flow that comes with every industry. When you get to a certain level, you'll be high enough up there that you don't really feel much of that ebb and flow, much of that sway. It's like now you're standing on the platform, you're on the lifeguard tower, in the middle of the ocean, and you're like, okay, the waves are coming, but like I'm pretty stable because you just have so many returning clients, so much, so many good reviews, so many referrals that you're at a level where you don't really feel the ups and downs so much. But, for quite a while, you're going to be in that, beep, 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 okay, before you get stability. So, because of that, you want to have a bit of a plan, okay? If you are looking to quit your job and do this full time, you need to know exactly how much you need to make every month. You need to know what services or what products you want to sell, how much you need to sell in order to make that. I always recommend not putting all your eggs in one basket too. So if you sell, let's say you're all product based, you sell on Etsy, okay, you want to do that. But maybe is there another thing you can also have, not as a backup, like, oh, in case I, don't sell anything and it all fails. It's not about a backup plan. It's more of having a little bit of a variety, even though I'm focused on selling my jewelry on Etsy, let's say. Um, I also am open to um, maybe teaching a class once a month on how to make jewelry, or maybe posting it on social media, making YouTube videos. Maybe it's ASMR. I don't know. You're like, ASMR, watch me make jewelry. Like, can I have some other ideas that can help me potentially open up pathways for income? I'm not a person that's going to tell you, like, you need 10 streams of income. I don't necessarily think that's the answer for most people, but it's being open to having multiple avenues, multiple pathways. I think that's really important. Saving. If you are not someone who's at home with your parents, young or retired, and you have a big nest egg, if you are like most people watching this and, you don't have an unlimited source of money to tap into, you're going to want to have some savings. Okay. Because again, we have positive expectations. We believe in ourselves, and I know you're going to win. But again, until you're at a certain level, most likely there will be some ebbs and flows. I don't just mean, this is really important to understand. I don't just mean you're going to have some months where you don't make a lot of money. Maybe you'll always make $5,000, $10,000 a month. Good for you. But there are certain things that affect when you'll get a hold of that money. Like, for example, I'm in the voice acting industry and also in the music industry. They have different payouts when it comes to what clients I'm working with, what types of projects I'm working on, where I'm getting that client. Is this somebody that I got out in the wild, so to speak, like, referred from another friend or another client who emailed me who wants to set up me doing a song for them or a voice acting, project? Or is this somebody, those people are great because usually that means that they're going to just Venmo me, PayPal me, send me Zelle the day I turn in the project. Love those clients. If it is a casting site client, the casting sites have certain payout schedules. So voices.com, for example, the client sets their kind of like payout date, but there's always like an automatic release. So it's usually anywhere from like, if they don't automatically, if they don't go on and say like, release funds, I'm happy with the project, you're good. Then it can be anywhere from like 2 weeks to 30 days, but they can also extend it to 60 days, 90 days. If I'm working with a very corporate client, a lot of times I have to sign paperwork and send over a contract, and then it can be 30 days, 60 days, sometimes 90 days, right? So it's those things. It's also payment platforms. Are you using Stripe? Are you using PayPal? Did you just start? Because if you just started and you start getting a lot of sales on PayPal, you'll hit this point where they'll say, oh, we're holding your funds right now because we need more information because we need to make sure you're legit, right? And then you have to take a picture of your ID and upload it and do this little video selfie to confirm your identity. All this where you're like, what? I just want to get paid. And now your money is stuck in PayPal or Stripe or whatever, QuickBooks, because you got to verify your identity and blah, 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 blah. If you have an LLC, that's another layer of different stuff. Do you have your business bank account or a personal bank account? Oh, you have a credit union like me? I'm learning as a pain in the ass because there are a lot of things that they don't allow. And so there are so many different little factors that can affect when you get paid, right? Or if the processing platform freelance site takes a commission, takes a fee. There are a lot of unexpected things that come up. So it's not just a matter of like, oh, how good you were and how well your business did this month. There's stuff you can't control. Okay. I couldn't control that when I started switching to QuickBooks for my invoices. The first week they held all my payments until they verified my bank statements because I have a credit union, not like Bank of America or something. For some reason, my bank wouldn't allow a full connection. So I had to get 6 months worth of bank statements and upload them to QuickBooks. And then a real person had to check everything. So it took a week for me to get paid. And I had like $1,200 worth of invoices. I'm like, I need that money. Rent is due in 3 days, right? But this is where having a cushion comes in. It is not about planning to fail. This is about having a cushion so that no matter what happens, you've got a good cash flow. That's it. Because you're going to have business expenses. You're going to need to pay for your website or, whatever it is. You need to buy new equipment because your camera lens just broke. Okay, you need cash for that. So if you send an invoice out and you're like, cool, it's fine. I'm going to get paid $2,000 this week. But then for some reason your money is held or it's taking 3 days for your bank to process the transfer into your account. You want to have that nice little cushion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to tell you exactly how much money that you should have in your bank account or savings account, but a general idea is 3 to 12 months worth of savings depending on your situation. So what does that mean? If you are either retired and you've got a nice nest egg, your spouse makes most of the money, or you just happen to have a lot of money. Maybe you had an inheritance, or you're really young, you're living with your family, you don't really have bills. 3 months worth of savings is probably more than enough, for you, just to have as a cushion. What is 3 months worth of savings? Really 3 months worth of expenses. So if you're not paying rent or mortgage, you don't really have a lot of bills. Maybe you're just paying for your food, your gas, and your phone bill. Let's say your expenses are $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. Okay, so 3 months, 2, 4, 6, 2,000 a month, 2,000 a month worth of bills. That's $6,000 in your savings. That's nice because then if you've got some weird stuff that happens where you don't get paid when you thought you were going to get paid for a project, that's fine. Oh, your computer died. You need a new computer. You need a new charger. It's fine. I have the cash, right? I have this buffer. And then when you do get paid for the gig, you can fill that savings back up, right? Just having that nice little cushion. If you pay rent, pay mortgage, have more expenses, more responsibilities, 6 months would probably make more sense. It's probably a more comfortable amount. If you're someone that has kids, more, right? I mean, 6 months would be minimum, because so much happens that's unexpected when you have kids, right? Just so many other factors that make you feel like you're at risk. This is a combination of common sense, fact, and emotional, comfort. Some of it is fully emotional. So if you're someone who, you know, maybe is in that first category, but you would just feel better if you had 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a whole year's worth of savings. Great, do that. But that's why I give the range 3 to 12 months. It depends on your situation. If you're high risk, meaning that you've got kids, you're a single parent, and like if you missed one paycheck, you'd be screwed kind of thing. You don't have family or friends or anything to help, you know, cushion the fall there, then you definitely want to have more saved. So if you're working a 9 to 5, highly recommend you do everything that you can to build up a nice little cushion. I'm not saying you can't pursue what you're doing or your business until then, but in terms of like quitting your job, going full time into freelancing, creation, for profit, I would highly recommend that you do that. I did not do that, and that's why I failed really hard 3 times and had to go back to, working at a gym because I didn't have savings to fall back on. And the first time that something happened, I needed new equipment and then I didn't get paid in time or, whatever. It was just a slow month. When COVID hit, that threw everyone for a loop who was a freelancer. Luckily, I wasn't full time yet anyways at that moment. So it didn't really affect me. I was working, so I got unemployment, lucky me, at that time. So I was like, oh, I'm good right now. But if that were to have happened like, years following that when I did go full time, I would have been screwed because that's something I could not have predicted. The whole world shutting down, all of the United States shutting down, especially California. I lived in California just a few years ago. That's where I grew up. So, you know, that affected my industry because there were not cheer competitions like that year. So had I been full time in my business during COVID, I would have been screwed because I remember I hardly got any orders that whole year. Um, I made half of what I usually make. It ended up being fine because I wasn't full time, like I said then. But um, if I didn't have the savings back then to cushion me. So I would have been absolutely screwed. I would have had to go back to work, you know? So it's comfort, it's common sense. You want to have something saved up. Okay. Moving on. Actually, before we move on, quick note about taxes too. Okay. A lot of you already know this, but if you don't, taxes work a lot different when you're not on a W 2 job. Okay. So you're going to have to pay taxes. In the beginning, when you're not making a whole lot, it's not a big deal. You can probably easily have a general idea about how much you're spending on art supplies, on subscriptions, on internet, basic expenses to run your business. When you first start out, there aren't many. So pretty easy. You don't need an accountant necessarily when you first start, but um, I would highly recommend that whether or not you decide to do an LLC and make a whole corporation or whatever, or you're just freelancing and you're going to keep being a solopreneur, um, you definitely want to get a business bank account. You don't have to get a specific business bank account. It could just be another bank account, right? So if you don't go with an LLC, you're just, what is it? Sole proprietor. I still am. I'm not at the point where it really makes sense for me to be an S corp or an LLC. That might change pretty soon, but um, you want to have a separate bank account even from day one. So if you don't have it, get it now, where all of your business expenses and all of your income from your business is coming in. If you still have your 9 to 5, that should go in your personal account. Again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial professional, but this is basic. Any accountant will tell you if you start a freelance business, as soon as you possibly can, get a separate bank account where your Etsy income, your PayPal income is going into for your business. Okay. And then, my husband has a part-time job at the card shop across the street from us. So his paycheck for that goes into our joint personal account. He has another bank account for PayPal, Venmo, all that from his art. Same with me. I have our joint personal account with Ally. That's where I pay bills. That's where I get groceries, right? And his paycheck comes in. And then I have my business account, which is just my name. I don't have an LLC. So it's not, even really technically a business account. It's just a different account. You want to separate it for taxes. Again, in the beginning, you're not going to have to worry much because when you go to do taxes, however that is that you do it, whether it's on TurboTax or you've got a tax person, it's pretty easy for you to notate. I probably spent, let's say $3,000 this year on equipment. Cool, and I used gas to go to the art shows. I can estimate about this many miles per year. Um, it's easy to keep track. As things get more complicated, as you start making more money, you get two options. You can learn how to track everything yourself through QuickBooks, through, Wave, HoneyBooks, whatever software is out there now. A lot of my friends do that. The more complicated your situation, meaning the more complicated your business, for me, it's complicated because I have my music stuff and I have my voice acting stuff, and I'm paid through different platforms. Some through PayPal, some through my QuickBooks, some over here, some over there, some is direct deposit. Because I do so many different things, my situation is kind of complex. And I've been making enough income the last couple years in a row that I think it was 2023, I got hit with a $12,000 tax bill. I made 80,000 that year. That was my first year that I really jumped up in income. I made 80,000. I owed 12,000 in taxes the next year. I was like, what? Because I had still just been tracking it myself, like, estimating. I think I spent about this much on a new microphone and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I kind of wrote it down. No actual like tracking receipts, all that. Nah, I don't need to do that. Well, after that, I got an accountant. So it depends on your situation, but you may reach a point where you want to hire out and have an actual accountant. It is not cheap. It is, if you're at the level where, again, you have complexity in your business or you're making a lot of money, um, it's not cheap. It's an investment. It's also a write off to have an accountant. So just, it depends on your situation. That's why I'm not ever going to give specific advice. Also, I'm not a tax accountant, so I can't give you advice like that. But do your research. Make sure that at the very least you have a separate account for your business outside of your personal expenses. Do not mix the two, or eventually you will have a mess on your hands. What is it called? Commingling funds? Intermingling funds? I forget what it's called, but there's actually a term for it by the IRS. You're not supposed to mix your funds. Do not get groceries in the account that you are receiving your PayPal from your art, right? Make sure it's separate. Anyways, moving on to the end here. How to actually scale and start growing your business once you've started to actually get some sales. Referrals are so huge. So this is where good customer service comes in. Anyone who's been in customer service as a 9 to 5, this is easy. This is a no-brainer. But anyone who has not, um, you're going to want to get really good at customer service. Okay. You are an artist, yes, but you're still a professional. Okay. So be yourself. You don't need to be white collar and like very prim and proper, but you want to present yourself as a business. So when people are reaching out about your services, or when they hire you to create something for them, or they buy a painting from you, having those general practices and skills of always being polite. I know it sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people are so unprofessional. Always being polite with people, always being patient with people, always leading with a thank you for um buying from me, for letting me, work on this project with you. I really appreciate your business. Leading with that rather than like, okay, yeah, how much does it pay? Right? Lead with the thank you, lead with the acknowledgement that you're happy to work with them, that you are really grateful that they like your art, whatever it is. um being prompt about when you get back to people. You set your own hours. So if you only want to reply Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, cool. Set your own hours, but promptly reply to people. Don't leave them hanging for weeks. Look at their DM on Instagram about commissioning you for a painting and then just be like, oh yeah, I'll get back to them when I get back to them. Or, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and start it. And then they don't hear from me for 2 weeks and they're like, I sent you $500. Like, are you almost done? Or set some basic ground rules for yourself when it comes to response time, when it comes to how you present yourself in emails, um, in how you pitch your services. So if someone's like, hey, how much do you charge for a painting? I really want, you know, I love your style. I'd love for you to do this for me. You know, come up with a general kind of response that you can personalize to each person that is polite, that is leading with kindness first, money second. Um, but also, still be yourself. That's the thing. You don't want to be fake. You don't want to be corporate. You want to be you. You can be like, what's up? Like you can still be like, hey, what's good? Oh man, I really appreciate that. I love that you love the art. Let me check my schedule. I'll get back to you, right? And then get back to them promptly. But just general rules. Get back to people in a good amount of time. Keep them updated. If you say that it's going to take you a week, and it's like day 6 going on to day 7, and you're thinking it may take another extra day, let people know, hey, I'm still working on this. I want to do a couple more things with it. So I'm just letting you know, maybe a couple more days. Like, treat it like a business with your own personality, with your own style. But if you walked into a restaurant and ordered something and they were rude to you or like ghosted you, they're ignoring you, obviously you would leave that restaurant. You would never come back. If they took your order and then it's an hour later and, they haven't come out to say, hey, your food's almost done, how would you feel? You are a business, whether you're an artist or you do something corporate, we're still a business. So treat it like one. Okay. Um, Following up with people when someone hires you, when they buy a painting, you can kind of set your own preference on how often do I want to like reach out to this person again and just be like, hey, just you could do it in multiple ways. You can be very personal with it and be like, hey, Haven't chatted with you in a while. I just wanted to see how you're doing. Just say hi, let you know that I'm working on this right now, or you can be very much um general with it and send like a more of a blast email once every quarter, once every 6 months, whatever, once a year, and say, hey friends, I just wanted to let you guys know what I'm working on right now. It's been such a great year. I've loved working with so many of you on various projects. I just came out with this new thing. It's on Instagram. Maybe you do a newsletter. Follow ups are really, really helpful because a lot of people have ideas of what they want to do. They want to hire people for projects, but they get busy and, they start prioritizing other things. And then you reach out and you're like, hey, just want to connect with you. Check out this new thing I posted. Share it with a friend. And they might go, oh, that's right. You know what? I want to get back on that project I was trying to do. You know, why don't we do something? Why don't we make this happen? I'd love to hire you. You'd be surprised at how many people just get distracted. So follow-ups are good. Obviously, do a really good job. Do it in the timeline you promised you were going to do it in, or if you can't, then being really honest with people and being like, hey, so sorry it's taking me a little longer than I expected. Just be professional, do a great job, be kind, and people will refer you. I know it's common sense, but I have to say this because as a singer songwriter, especially in my particular industry niche, I have been hired way more than other people. I've been given way more work. The fact that I've made like 80,000 a year from doing almost 100% cheerleading music, what? Like it's not like I get $1,000 per cheer song. It's not very much per song or per 30-second clip, but I get so many orders because they love me, not because I'm better than anyone else, but because I'm so professional, I'm so reliable, they can always count on me, right? That I'm a breath of fresh air because so many artists they work with are not professional. And that's shocking to me because I come from a customer service background. I'm like, it's not that hard, folks. But they're like, man, half the artists we have don't hit the deadlines and they don't even let us know. They say, oh yeah, I can do this song that's due in 3 days. And then 3 days comes and goes and they hear nothing. They don't get the song and they don't even hear from the artist. They ghost them. And then like a couple of days later, like, oh, my bad, I was sick. And it's like, dude, you got to let me know. Right. So it's just as simple as doing a good job, following through, being kind. And if you do that, and you're talented, people are going to want to refer you. Be fun to work with. Be somebody who people love coming to work with on projects. That's really a huge part of scaling. Always continue your education in some way. Again, choose your level of intensity. It can be as simple as being like, hey, I've been doing the same thing for a year and it's been going pretty good, but maybe I'll go to this workshop. Maybe I'll check in with YouTube and see like what are people in my industry doing now? It doesn't have to be this dedicated, hardcore, put in thousands of hours type of deal, but continue your education, continue to expand in every single way over time. Continue to learn. Was there anything else I wanted to say? Oh, and with the modern times, experiment with the tools. You don't have to become an AI expert, but like right now, AI is the thing. I am utilizing this, and this is the last thing that we'll talk about today. If you're in my group, please ask questions about this. We can do a detailed video on this. Let me know if that's something you want. But let me give a general overview of AI. This will be the last thing. I have learned how to I'm particularly using Claude AI just because that's what I learned on, but ChatGPT, any of the other ones, it doesn't matter. Things that you can use AI for in your creative business that are so helpful is research. Always make sure that you double check the research though, because again, it's not always perfectly accurate, but research on how to expand things, especially when it comes to SEO, right? When it comes to auditing your website, your Etsy portfolio or platform, or what's the word? Profile, sorry. Your casting site profile, your emails that you're sending out, your social media, right? The YouTube description. using AI to help improve that, to help improve your rankings, where people are seeing you. That's so, so useful. Research, SEO, lead generation. Okay, so let me give you some examples. You want to grow your creative business by getting more eyes to your art page, your social media. So, for example, on Claude AI, I have Chrome connector. So, what that means is I have it set up through Google Chrome that I can log into my YouTube. I can say, hey, Claude, I want to grow my YouTube. So, this is a description of what I do. This is a little bit about me as an artist, let's say as a singer and a voice actor. These are the type of people that I think will like my content. And you just give a brief description or a detailed description if you want. For example, I'm a singer songwriter who also does voice acting and animation in video games. And I want to draw more people in who are into R&B hip hop music, anime, video games, and my style of voice is blah, 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 blah. Um, Whatever it may be. Give a description of what you do, what your voice sounds like, what your art is like, the type of people you believe will also like your art. And you could say something like, this is a little bit about me. Take that information, go through YouTube, for example, and find what people that would like this material are actually searching on YouTube. Because the idea for keywords we come up with in our head, right? Like, okay, anime. What else? Animation. These particular shows. Okay, maybe, but there might be some other keywords that you aren't even thinking of, right? Like, I'll give you an example. If you're an anime fan on TikTok, when I was starting to post like anime videos of like me doing different voices, my first thought, of course, was like hashtag anime, hashtag animation, hashtag English dub, hashtag English voiceover, and then the names of the shows. That gave me some good results. But when I started using the specific names of character tropes like tsundere, dandere, kudere, those are very specific character tropes, character archetypes that people who really know anime would know. If you don't know anime, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? That's foreign to me. Okay, exactly. This is very targeted. So when I started using like tsundere, especially because that's everyone's favorite, especially dudes, they just love a woman yelling at them, even if they don't admit it. They low key like it. Anyways, that's a different conversation, but they love a sassy girl. Okay, so that very targeted, specific audience of actual anime fans, not just somebody who's like, oh, I like One Piece. I watched a couple episodes and I like the characters. They're cool. No, someone who's an anime fan is going to be searching for that, right? Their algorithm's going to pair up with that. So that's something that they're actually going to be searching for that you didn't maybe think of off the bat. So, hey, AI, this is a profile of me. I want you to take that, look through YouTube for what people are actually searching that are my target audience, and then cross-reference that with what the top profiles are posting. Look at the top performing YouTube people or Etsy people, whatever, and cross-reference it with what they're doing. Get information from that as well. Let me put this together in a better prompt because I'm a mess right now. Okay. So for example, I would like to grow my YouTube channel and get a bigger fan base. I would like to get more subscribers and more comments and likes on my videos. Here is a little bit about myself and what I do. And you tell them the description. This is about me. This is my style, whatever. Here are the people that I'm trying to target. A little bit about them. I am also logged into Chrome or whatever browser so that you can go onto my profile and give a full audit based on the following information. Because the goal is to have AI help audit your profile to bring more people in. That means looking at the bio, looking at the description of each video or whatever, and seeing what's lacking, what's repetitive, what you could add, right? Please research the top profiles and research what people in my target audience are actually searching for the most on YouTube, cross-reference that with my profile, and give me an audit of how I can improve my profile, right? Sorry if that wasn't a very elegant way, but this is just an example. And you can also say something like, ask me any questions you feel would be helpful to gather more information, right? If you're logged into your YouTube, it's easier because then they can go in and see all the back end information, the hashtags you're using, the keywords you're using. So that's an example. You can use it to help you audit profiles. And to get deeper on this, find which actual tools that you are specifically going to use just based on what you're comfortable with or what you might already have. And then go and find tutorials on how to create prompts, how to actually do it in a detailed way. Find somebody in your industry using it. And if you don't know, join the Dreamweaver Academy. And this is why communities are important. Say, I create, I don't know, unicorn statues and I want to sell them at art fairs and I don't know how to use AI to help me with that. Okay, cool. Tell us that and we can help research, we can help brainstorm and come up with ideas to experiment and see what AI can do for you, whatever tools can do for you. So, this is just about finding ways to get with the times, so to speak, in whatever way is comfortable for you. And that's part of growth, right? It's not just learning from a coach, it's also experimenting with new things that pop up and being open to utilizing AI to help you. Another way that AI is helping is um, with outreach, right? You can have it send out those follow up emails, right? Automatically send out a quarterly check in with clients, have it vary it up every time. This is kind of my general style of how I write an email. This is my personality. It's not necessarily that they're going to write everything for you. You can kind of have a general thing and just say, kind of tweak it to fit for each client and send it out every quarter. That may not be something that you want to do, but it's just an example. It could be lead scraping. Lead scraping is really helpful where you have it you're logged into all the different places where you would normally find leads. So if you're somebody who's posting on social media, you're there on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. If you're looking on casting sites, you're there. If you're looking on Indeed, on whatever, you're there and you can say, I'm logged into all these sites. Please search these sites based on my information and what you know about me and, uniquely what I do, and search through all these for opportunities that pay at least this much that are a good fit for me. And then you can have it run that Monday through Friday every morning at 8 a.m. so that when you start your day, let's say at 9 or 10, you already have a list of potential leads, or different ideas of what you can do. So AI is a good tool. There's always a good tool coming out every couple of years that can help make your business, your life easier. Just, be open. Don't be a grouchy anti anything, right? I know a lot of us are so anti AI or anti social media, and I totally get it. I was anti social media for quite a while. Um, I've kind of gotten over that, and I'm like, whatever. But even that, I only have a certain level of what I'm comfortable with in terms of social. I don't share super, super personal stuff. A lot of the times you don't see pictures of my husband and my family all the time, here and there occasionally, but do it with your level of comfort. I need to stop rambling, so I'm going to stop. But that's pretty much A to Z how I've built my business. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance depending on what exactly you're doing. Your path is going to be different than someone else's. But there are some universal truths, like I said, when it comes to being open to different ideas, choosing a pathway, like I said before, that actually feels good to you, where you have some natural talent, some natural ease already. People already see you as being good at this thing that helps. Um, Condensing things down into a little bit more of a general overview of what you want to do in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, breaking that down into some action steps that you can do repetitively every day, every week, every month. Um, Setting your prices, continuing your education, being really good at customer service, and utilizing those referrals and following up with people, continuing to learn. That's the most important thing. So, hopefully, this has been helpful. If you want to go deeper on these topics and you're not watching this in my group, join the Dreamweaver Academy because that's where we go deep and we have a lot of fun and we can help you with very specific questions. So, this has been fun. I'm going to shut up now and I love you guys and I'll see you soon. Bye.